As promised, we're joined right now by the head football coach at Nevada. He is entering his 5th season with the Wolfpack. He has led the Wolfpack to 3 straight bowl games. 22 bowl games overall as a player and a coach. Nevada is going to open up at Cal September 4th. We are joined by Jay Norvell. Jay, it's great to have you back. How are you?
Awesome, Jim. Great to talk to you.
You too, Jay. In fact, I want to rephrase that question. I want to say that I've been looking forward to this conversation pretty much since our first conversation ended last year. So how exactly are you doing? How is your life right now? What's the vibe like around the program?
Well, first of all, I just got to smile because when our sports information guy gave me your number, I punched it in, and it came up on my phone, Jim Rome Show. So I got you locked in.
My man.
But I've been big fan of yours and your show for years, and we're doing fine. You know, it's really challenging in our region for people around the country that don't know. Northern Nevada and Northern California are going through some of the worst historical wildfires in the history of the region, and we had a Dixie Fire, which is in Northern California, which is California's worst in history. Last week it was over 500,000 acres, and up to this week now it was 700,000+ acres when I last heard. And where we are located, Reno, Nevada, is in a valley right around the Sierra Mountains, and there's another fire, Calder Fire, that started in South Lake Tahoe, and that's what's really disrupting us right now. So for over 3 weeks of training camp, our camp has been totally disrupted by air quality. We've had to leave Reno, and thank God, we've got a great relationship with David Shaw and Stanford, and they've just allowed us to come and work out. So we're going on our 2nd week of training camp here at Stanford, and we're just looking for some relief from these fires.
Jay Norvell, my guest. Jay, I hate to hear it, but I know this. I'm a California native. It's really scary, really scary. But you did a really good job of laying out for the rest of the country exactly what's going on. You know, the thinking had been that this was going to mark something of a return to normalcy in terms of your fall camps and getting ready for the year compared to last year. But as you just made the point, it's anything but. What do you make of how your players have responded and adapted to these challenges?
I loved your interview with Aaron Rodgers that you had earlier this week, and just the mindset that we've taken. Really, I really took a lot from his interview, but it relates to us. You know, we don't have any excuses, Jim. You know, we have a season that we're preparing for, and we have to really rely on our preparation, all the things that we can control. And sometimes there's a silver lining. You know, we had to leave home, but we spent a week in the hotel together. We really got closer as a team. You know, we pull the cards out, the dominoes at night, and just have some bonding together. And we really grew from that. We had an old school rookie show. You know, I spent 6 years in the NFL with the Colts and the Raiders, and we had a NFL-style rookie show and just had some laughs. But I think we bonded as a team. And, you know, I'm a big boxing fan. Teddy Atlas is a guy that I've heard speak many times, and he talked about how champions are really developed from the adversity that happens to them, and they're the sum of that. And we're trying to take all these different experiences and help them grow our football team and really get better.
I'm a big boxing guy still, so, Jay. Teddy Atlas is great. I've always been a huge fan of Teddy Atlas. I'm not at all surprised to hear you mention him and talk about what you pulled from him as well. Let me ask you about a couple of guys. Carson Strong, Jay, threw for nearly 3,000 yards last year. He completed more than 70% of his passes and had only 4 INTs. There's already talk about how high he might go in the draft. What do you make of the hype around him, and how is he handling and dealing with that hype?
Well, I think Carson got a lot of attention last year because his touchdown to interception ratio was really better than the 4 quarterbacks that got drafted in the first round. And so he's got a lot of attention from that. He's a very, very talented guy. He's 6'4 plus. He's got natural throwing motion. He's a true pocket passer, and a lot of the things we do in our offense correlate to the NFL. I spent 7 years at Oklahoma, and as a college player, he really reminds me of Sam Bradford when Sam Bradford was in college. Super accurate deep ball thrower, big playability, throws for a high percentage, doesn't turn the ball over. And I think that's got the attention, of the pro scouts. It's unfortunate, this is my 5th year here, and this is by far the last 2 years have been our best teams. And, I hate to have had a shortened season last year, and Carson too. Carson could have put up way bigger numbers if we wouldn't have had a shortened season. And we're just hoping that we get the full season this year and he can really show what he can do.
No doubt. Nevada head football coach Jay Norvell is my guest. Jay, it's not just him, right? When you combine him with the talent that you have at wide receiver and tight end, how explosive can this offense be this year?
I really am excited to watch our guys play. We got 15 all-conference players back, which is the most in school history. We've got another NFL caliber player in Romeo Dubs. He was by far the best receiver in our league. And out of Jefferson High School in East Los Angeles, just a really talented athlete. And then we got a 6'6.5", almost 6'7" tight end in Cole Turner, who's the best in our league as well. And then we got an all-league receiver in Elijah Cooks, who's 6'4". And so we've got a very tall group of receivers, guys that are matchup problems for anybody we play. And with our running backs back and our other receivers, Carson will have a lot of weapons. It will be awfully fun to watch.
We are talking to Jay Norvell. Now, Jay, of course, you open up at Cal on the road. There are certainly easier ways to start a season than going on the road to face a Pac-12 opponent. What are your early thoughts on facing them in just over a week?
Well, Cal's a stingy defensive team, very well coached, and they've got a lot of veteran players back as well. I know you had their linebacker on a couple days ago, but I think it's a great opener for us. Nevada has had a history with Cal. We're not that far away. We should have a lot of people come over the Sierras to watch that game, and I think it's a great opener. You always want to play a good opponent to open the season, gets everybody's attention in the off season, and we're excited about the challenge.
Jay, when you and I spoke last year, we talked about your father, Merritt, who was a pioneer in so many ways, including being one of the first black athletic directors in the country. He passed away in October. What kind of an impact did he have on you?
My dad was my hero, Jim. He such a special man. He was the athletic director at Michigan State. Really made an impact helping African American coaches. Did a lot of educational opportunities. A lot of the black head coaches all over the country were in mentoring programs that were set up by my dad. And so it's just he left a big impact on so many people. Tried to help so many people. We grew up in Wisconsin, and got a lot of friends back there and family. I know you got a place back there. But he's just really a giant of a man, and just cared so much for other people.
It's great to hear you say that. I would imagine, Jay, and because he was your hero and you and he were very close, but I would imagine this as somebody, I lost my father years and years ago, and I remember whenever I would meet somebody in his business and they would tell me a story about him, or your dad was like this, it meant so much to me. I have to imagine you feel the exact same way when you come across people who probably always want to tell you about your dad and how much he meant.
There's no doubt. We talk about being a person of influence, and a person of influence is somebody that really impacts people after they're gone. And my dad was certainly one of those men.
No doubt. Jay, one of the phrases around the program is Nevada grit, which I love. For those who do not know, how would you define Nevada grit?
Well, Nevada grit is, we have 3 core values. It's respect, accountability, and then hustle. And once we do those little things, we have this Holy Spirit that kind of goes over our program. It's kind of like the Lucky Shamrock with the Celtics, but grit is your perseverance, your passion, your love for your brother, always standing up for your brother, your love of the game. So when you get that knocked down 7 times, you get up 8, and never, ever, ever giving up. And so, it's the adversity we face every day, having to leave Reno because of this poor air quality and all the fires back home. We're pulling for all the firefighters that are working so hard to put this out. But Nevada grit is our mantra, and we hang our hat on that with everything we do.
Jay, I'm really curious. Is it something, that kind of grit that we're talking about, is it something that you can teach and develop in the guys, or is it something you have to recruit?
I think it's both, Jim. I think it's both. I think, number one, we always look for character, but living an accountable life, you're learning to take responsibility for your actions, and then giving everything you got every day for your teammates and being unselfish. I think that develops that type of mindset. And when things happen to you, you get knocked down, you have to learn to get back up and just jump back in the fight. And that's the mentality that, Nevada's been known for years. We're a blue-collar program. We hang our hat on that, and I think that helps us work through the rough spots, and we're proud of that.
You bet. Jay, one more thought. I don't want to sell your defense short. We talked about the offense, and it would be very easy for everybody to focus on that offense. But when you look at the defense, and in particular some of the talent that arrived in the transfer portal, how good can that unit be?
Well, we improved tremendous last year. I think we moved up about 20 spots in scoring. And in Brian Ward's first year, we got some really talented defensive players. Don Peterson, and Dayon Henley from Crenshaw High School, really talented, but we added 3 transfers in the secondary. Isaiah Sesama from Wake Forest, Bentley Sanders from South Florida, and Chad Brown from Central Florida. And we really think the additions of that talent in the secondary and the playmakers we have back there really is going to give our defense a pop and help us be a championship defense.
So, Jay, one quick follow and I'll let you go. I talked to Sonny Dykes about this the other day. You probably know that too, my man. You know everything I'm doing on this show. But I talked to Sonny Dykes about the transfer portal. Like, how do you go about identifying players that are good fits for the team and your culture? Is it the same when you're recruiting out of high school, or is there a different process?
No, it's a great question. And, I spent 6 years in the NFL, and I look at it like free agency. I look, when you have to fit a need, when you're light at a position, and I know probably have our starting players. We have the same caliber as a lot of Power 5 teams, but we just don't have the depth. Lose a guy. We don't always replace him with a guy that's as talented. So we try to find out as much as we possibly can about a guy. But one of the things about the group of 5 teams like SMU and ourselves, sometimes we'll get a bounce back that goes to a Power 5 school,
got some good ones,
and we'll be able to bring in a higher talented player than we could out of high school. And so football is concerned, and it could have our transfers I know for group of 5 teams.
So, Jay, I'm going to end this interview the way I started this interview by saying I look forward to this interview since the first time you and I had a conversation at the end of last year, and this was every bit as good and better. Jay, really appreciate you. Great to have you back. Good luck against Cal, and I know you and I will get together and chop it up again soon.
Love it, Jim. Keep doing your thing, brother.
My man, you too, Coach. Great talking to you.